Now we are going to talk about how the booking model schema should look like, right? We are going to see what all I would say properties should the booking model schema should have in order to make sure that we are able to get all the bookings done, right? So for the timing, in order to associate or in order to set up booking or bookings, we need to first understand the use case. We need to first understand the use case. So for a booking, we need to associate we need to associate users with theaters and movies, right? Because a user will be booking a movie in a particular theater, so there will be some movie id associated, some theater id associated, as well as user id associated. So we are going to make sure that we take care about the fact that all of these properties are taken care into the picture, right? We can maintain status of the booking as well, right? So that we are able to make sure that later if we have to cancel the booking of the or if the booking is in pending state, those kind of cases are also handled, right? So this is going to be the overall structure. So maybe what we can do is we can start implementing the booking model, and then we will get a better understanding of what to expect. So what I can directly say here is the following properties should be there in our coding implementation. We should have a theater id, we should have a movie id, a user id. These three properties are definitely going to be there. There will be timings of the movie for which we are going to make the booking timings, right? Currently we are not saving timings of the movie in our theater to movie connection, but that's a very simple thing. We can extend it very easily. Currently we are storing the list of movies that we are going to have in a theater. Instead of just storing list of movie, we can store a list of custom object where there will be one property movie and one more property which will be timings of the movie. That is going to be something that we can do. We can definitely modify it. So we'll see if we want to do it for the timing in the context of these set of videos or not, but definitely that is something that can be done. So timings of the timings of the show will be there. Then there will be a status of the booking, that what is the current status of the booking. Then we'll be having created at, of course, updated at. These are going to be helpful, right? And then we are going to have total cost, like the total cost for the booking that we have made, right? And the number of seats we are going to reserve. Number of seats we are going to reserve. Like if we are going to reserve more than one seat, then the I would say the cost will increase, right? And the cost of the movie is also going to depend on the fact that what is the ticket price of the movie in the theater. So as I said, currently in the theater model, if you will take a look at the theater model, we are just having an array of movies, right? But what we can do, we can modify this array of just movies into array of objects, which is going to have movie as one parameter, the cost of the movie and the timings of the movie. So we have to make some modifications there as well. But for the timing, let's set up this booking model first of all to ensure that we are making the correct changes and doing things step by step, right? So let's see. So So what we can do is, first of all, let's make a new branch. So let's come to the master branch, and we can say git checkout -b feature 7 bookings. Okay, now we are on feature 7, and let's do even one thing here in this one. Let's start our server to check if everything is working fine. Okay, and now what we can do here is, we are now on feature 7. Now we can set up branches. Let's even check one thing. Did we successfully merged our feature 6 or not before actually starting feature 7? So okay, we merged feature 4. I guess feature 6 is not yet merged. Right, let's check. So right, git status. Okay, let's check the pull requests. We have 4 closed pull requests. Okay, so we have not merged the feature, I would say, 6 yet. So let's make a new pull request for feature 6. Yes, so we have to add all of these changes. Let's create a pull request. Let's merge the pull request. Cool, the pull request has been merged. And now let's do one thing. Let's do git checkout master. Okay, git pull origin master. Let's sync our master branch. Right. Okay, now let's see, 1 second. So now let's first delete the new branch that we made, the branch number 7, right? So I guess we can do a -d for that. So git branch -d feature 7. Okay, now we can create a new branch, git checkout. Okay, now we are on the new branch and it is synced with the master as well. Right, cool. We can do npm start to check everything is fine. Yes, and now we can start setting up our booking model, I would say. So let's create a new model, booking.model.js. Okay, we can first of all try to get mongoose. Const mongoose is equals to require mongoose, and we can create a booking schema. So we'll say const booking schema is equals to new mongoose dot schema. Right, and now we'll put the properties. So first property is going to be theater ID. Right, the type is going to be a reference type, so we can say mongoose dot dot schema dot types dot object ID. And this is going to be the type. This property is always going to be required, so we'll say required as true, and the reference is going to be the theater model. So let's get the exact theater. This is the theater model. Okay, this is going to refer to the theater model. Okay, then we are going to have movie ID, right? This is again going to be of type mongoose dot schema dot types dot object ID. This is also going to be a required parameter. We cannot have a booking without a movie, and the ref is going to be from the movie model. So let's open movie model and get the model name from here, movie. Now this is also going to associate a user, so you'll be having a user ID. The type is going to be mongoose dot schema dot types dot object ID. This is going to be a required parameter as well, and the reference is going to be of user model. Okay, so these three references are done. We are able to connect theater ID, movie ID, as well as user ID. So these three things are done. Now let's do one thing. Let's have a timing parameter. Timing, right? The type is going to be string, let's say, for the timing, and we can say this is also required property. Okay, then we can have number of seats. The type is going to be a number. This is also a required property. Then there will be total cost associated. That will be type number. We are not putting it required true, but we can like definitely do that. And we can have a status, right? We can have a status. The type is going to be string, right? Required is going to be true, right? And if you will carefully see, we can set up kind of like a enum for it. Like we can set up a kind of like an enum for it. So we can say enum, right? In the enum we can have values and message, right? We can have a property values. Values can be in process, cancelled, successful. Okay, and in the message you can see, in any case, if you get an error message, then what error message you want to show, you can show it here. So invalid booking status. Okay, so this status we can do, right? And default value, we can set a default value, right? If you'll see here as well, we can set a default value. So default value can be in process, right? Cool. And for created at and updated at, we can just add another object in the schema constructor and add a property timestamps as true, and that's it. Then all we have to do is const booking is equals to new mongoose.model booking, and we're going to pass booking schema, and where you can do module.exports booking, right? Cool. So our booking model is ready. Currently we have hard coded the string, so let's do one thing. Let's prepare some constants and replace these with constants. So const booking status. So booking status will be cancelled as cancelled, successful as successful, processing as in process, and we can return booking status very easily. And what we can do here is, in booking model, we can say const require, let's go to utils, so /utils / constants, and we can get a constant booking status. Okay, and now here we can say, instead of in process, we can say booking status dot processing. For cancelled is booking status dot cancelled, and for successful, booking status dot successful. And here also we can say booking status dot processing. Right, we have already talked about the fact that why we are changing these hard-coded strings, because at any point of time we have to change the value, we have to go and change everywhere. Otherwise, if we'll just use these constants, we can just modify the constant final everywhere, the changes will come up, and using raw strings here and there is not the best recommended practice. So we are done with the booking schema. Let's just quickly commit this. So let's see if there is an error. No, not as such. So we can say git add all. So we'll say git added booking schema with Mongoose. Git push. Right, so we have successfully implemented booking schema. In the further upcoming set of parts, we are going to see transaction schema, and we are going to make changes to the old theater movie model. You can see here we are going to make changes to the theater model as well, so that it can inculcate the list of, because currently for any theater, what is the cost of the movie, what is the list, what are the timings of the movie, we are not showing to the users. If so user want to see it, they like if you user want to book it, they want first need to know what's the cost, and also we need to show them. So for that, we can definitely add them here. Cool. So these changes we are going to make in the further upcoming set of parts. Have successfully set up our booking model, right? Now we are going to set up one more model for us, right? So we are going to talk about the payment model, right? How the payment model will look like. So payment model schema, right? Okay. So in the payment model, we are going to have something like booking ID, right? That is for what booking the payment has been done. We are going to have the amount of the payment that was made in the transaction. We are going to have the status of the payment that will be returned to us from the payment gateway or the corresponding bank, and definitely the created at and updated at. These properties are going to be there. So based on whatever status we have for the payment, based on that we will be having the booking status as well, right? So let's just quickly create this payment model as well. So what we can do, we can just go here and create a new file, payment.model.js. We can get mongoose const mongoose is equals to require mongoose, and then we can say const payment schema is equals to new mongoose dot schema. The first property we can keep is booking ID. This is going to be a reference to the booking collection. So the type is going to be mongoose dot schema dot types dot object ID. It will be a required parameter, and we can say the reference is going to be booking. Then we are going to have an amount associated. The type is going to be number, and required is going to be true. Then we are going to have a status property, which is technically going to be type string, required true, but there will be an enum associated with values. For the timing, we can keep values as success, right? Let's see what all values we can keep. I guess we can have 3 values: success, failed, and pending. And default value we can keep as pending. And then we are, for created at and updated at, we are going to pass another parameter to the schema, which is going to be an object which will take a property timestamps, and we'll say it as true. And that's it. This is the payment schema, very easy to make. We'll say const payment is equals to mongoose.model. You can see similarly in booking model also we did. It should not be a new, it should be just mongoose.model. Let's check. Yes, just mongoose.model it should be. So I just made a change in the booking model. It should not be new mongoose.model, it should be normal mongoose.model, because it will directly return. We don't want to wrap it inside an object. It will directly return the model object with us. Name is going to be payment, and the schema is going to be payment schema. And looks good. This looks good. One more change we should do, we should remove these hard-coded values with constants. So let's go constants here, and we can say const payment status is equals to failed as failed, success as success, and pending as pending. We will export this payment status, and let's come back to the payment model, and we can say const this is equals to require. From the constants, we'll try to get payment status, right? And now what we can do, we can replace these strings with payment status dot pending, payment status dot failed, payment status dot success, and we can even replace that here, payment status dot pending, right? So I believe this should be good. There is an error, I guess. Let's check. Is it? I guess there is a spelling error here. Okay, and there is one more error, I guess. Let's check, are we missing something? Okay, here we should have one more parameter, values. Apart from values, we should have message as invalid payment status, right? And let's see. I guess let's write this line again. Let's see where is the error. Okay, error is coming from somewhere above. We are missing some curly brace or something. Okay, let's check one by one. Oh, this curly brace is unnecessary. Okay, now it's correct. Now we can just do module dot exports payment. Okay, so it's a simple implementation of a new model that we just have to make, right? Just a simple payment schema, and just we'll create the model out of it. So we have the two new schema setup ready with us. Let's just quickly commit this. Added payment schema. So we're done with the addition of the payment schema, right? We are making good progress for the booking part as well. From here now we are going to see the APIs that we need to prepare for setting up the booking mechanism into our application. Uh, Till now we have set up completely our payment model as well as the booking model. Now what we are going to do, we are going to prepare APIs for bookings, right? We are going to set up APIs for bookings, right? The APIs that we are going to set up is going to be to get all the bookings, right? Now when we try to get all the bookings, we can give some filters that we need all the bookings for a particular movie, all the bookings for a particular theater, or in general all the bookings in our database, everything. We can get booking on an ID, that is if a person wants to get a particular booking, that what movie and what theater they have booked for. We can create booking, we can update booking, right? These are going to be the four APIs that we are going to build up, right? Now we have to one by one set up the APIs, and the first API that we are going to see is going to be to create a booking, right? So let's talk about create booking API. Okay, so in the create booking API, the route that we are going to set up is going to look something like slash MBA slash API slash v1 slash bookings, right? And the type of the request is going to be a post request. Type of the request is going to be a post request. In the request body, we are going to expect the movie ID, theater ID, user ID, all of these things that are required to fill up in the model. We are going to expect that in the request body. And in the response body, we are going to say that we are going to have a parameter for success to denote whether the API successfully completed itself or not. We are going to have an error parameter that will be an empty object if the API successfully hit, otherwise it will be having the error details. We are going to have a data property that will be an empty object if there was any error encountered during the execution of the API. Otherwise, this data property is going to store all the data that we are going to return from the API. And then we are going to have a message property that is going to have custom messaging based on what we have as the response. Now, in order to create booking, we can write that in order to create booking, user must be authenticated. User must be authenticated. So we need to protect this route with authentication so that not anyone can just make a booking. Only valid registered users can create a booking, right? So this is going to be the signature of the booking API. Now, based on the signature, we have to start writing the logic of the booking API. So let's just start. So what we can do here is, let's just try setting up everything. So you can close all of these files. Okay. So first thing that we can make is a new file. We can say booking.controller.js. Then we can make a middleware, booking.middlewares.js. Then we can have routes, that will be booking.routes.js. And then we are going to have services, booking.services.js. Okay, cool. Now in the booking route, we are going to start setting up the app. So first of all, we will say we'll write a function const routes is equals to, it will take input as the of the express app object, right? And we are going to do module.exports for this. Then we'll register the routes. We'll say app.post, because the type of the request is a post. We'll say /mba/api/v1/booking, right? /booking. And we need to have the controller const booking controller is equals to require /controllers/ booking controller. Okay, and from booking controller we are going to say booking controller dot create. Okay, so we are going to map it to a function create. Now we don't have currently any create function, so let's just go to booking controller and create a function. So we'll first of all say module.exports, and let's have the first function as const create. This will be an asynchronous function, and it will be having access to the HTTP request body and HTTP response body, right? I believe this point is clear to everyone, that it will be having the access to both of the request object of HTTP as well as the response object. Okay, that being said, let's just try to implement, right? So what we can do is, now we need to first get the user ID. User ID is going to be extracted from request.user, right? Because the route is going to be authentication protected. So once authentication is done, the user ID will be stored inside the request.user object, right? So if you go to banking routes, we can secure the route by saying const auth middleware is equals to require middleware/auth.middlewares, and then we say auth middleware dot is authenticated, right? Once is authenticated is protecting our route, and the user authenticates itself, we'll be having the access to the user ID in this object. So let's do one thing, let's bind this whole inside a try catch. So okay, now let's do one thing. Let's extract out user ID from here, paste it here, and we can get the constants /utils/constants, and the constants that we are going to get is going to be error. We can say it's not showing recommendations. One second. Okay, this should not be constant, this should be response body /utils/response body, and in the response body we are going to have success response body and error response body. Okay, so this is going to be the user ID that we are going to get from the particular user. Now what we can do is we'll say const response is equals to, now we need to create a service function, so we'll get the service const booking service is equals to require dot slash services slash booking dot services. Okay, now we'll say from the booking service we will call it booking service dot create booking, and we are going to have all of our data in request body, so we'll say request dot body. Right, in request body we are not going to have our user ID, so we have a shorthand that we can use. Right, so let's say we have an object. If we do dot a, sorry, one second. Okay, I guess it's not going to work directly for object. Okay, so what we can do, we can say dot a and then add a key. Let's say k3. Oh, sorry, I got it right. Sure. So actually I was giving the wrong variable name. It's not a, it's x. So we'll say dot x. Right, but we'll do it inside an object. Let's say k is 3. Now you can see we have added k inside the same object. So what we can do is, instead of just passing request dot body, we can say user dot request dot body, comma, user ID as user ID. Okay, so this will create the booking, and based on that we'll say success response body dot message successfully created a booking. Success response body dot or we can do, I guess this is enough. We can say return res dot status 201 dot json. Right, and let's do one thing, let's get the constants. So we'll go to utils constants. One second. Okay, now we have the status with us. We are going to replace this 201 with status dot created. Okay, and we are going to return the success response body. We'll say success response body dot data is equals to response. right? So this is going to be done. Otherwise we can say error response body dot error is equals to the given error, and we can say return rest dot status dot internal server error dot json. So we can say error response body. Okay, cool. So now we have successfully prepared our controller, right? There can be a few changes here and there that we can do, but first of all, let's just quickly export it. So the controller looks ready. Now all we have to do is just write this booking services, create booking logic, and we will be having a good control over the overall API that we have made till now. Now what we can do is we can go to booking services, and we can start writing the logic here. We can get the booking model, to models, and we can go get the booking model. Okay, and we can say module dot exports, and the function that we want to write is create booking. So we'll say const create booking. It is going to be an async function, and it is going to get data property. We can put a try catch. We can say const response is equals to await booking dot create, and we can pass the data property, right? And we can return response, right? Okay, I don't think this is required. Cool, right? Let's see if we need to make any changes, right? So we can handle the error here as well. We can say console.log error, and then we can just throw the error to the controller, right? Okay, let's see if we can make any more changes. Now let's say if there is any validation error, in that case we have to throw a separate validation error to the controller. So we can say if error dot name is equals to validation error, then we are going to create a new error object. We are going to iterate over the validation errors. We'll say object dot keys error dot errors. It will be having an errors property, so we'll get all the keys inside an array. We'll do a for each, and we'll go to each key one by one, and then for each key we'll store the corresponding message from error dot errors of key dot message. At last, what we can do, we can say throw. We'll be throwing the error object, and the code that we will be throwing is going to be from the status code. So we'll get the constant of the status code, dot slash util slash constants, and here we can say status dot unprocessable entity, right? And then we can just export this. We can say export create booking, right? Now we are going to catch it inside controller, right? We are going to get it inside controller. This looks good, right? In the controller we can handle the errors specifically. We can come to this catch block, and we can say if the error is having a custom error property, then we can say return rest dot status error dot code, because we'll be sending the code from the service layer, dot json error response body, and in the error response body dot error will be error dot error, right? This will handle the controller for us, right? So this is how we can set up the service, controller, and routes. Now we need to do a few more changes. One very important thing we need to do is we need to add the validation of the request body, that everything should be valid in request body. Every required parameter should be present in the request body. Otherwise, we are not going to process the request. And this validation we can put inside the middleware. So now we are going to try to write a middleware so that we can validate if the request body is coming correctly or not. So now let's just start building the booking middleware for verifying the request body. We'll first of all get the constants with us. So we'll say const status dot slash utils slash constants, right? And we're going to say module dot exports. First function we are going to write is validate booking create request. This is going to be an async function. It is going to take the HTTP request object, HTTP response object, and the next middleware registered. Okay. First of all, we are going to validate the theater ID presence. We are going to check that if in the request.body, if we are not going to get a theater ID parameter, then we are going to say return rest.status. We'll say status.badRequest.json. Let's get the response body. So const error response body. We're going to require it from utils slash response body, and we are going to send the error response body. But before that, in the error response body, we are going to set the message as no theater ID provided. Okay, this is going to validate the theater ID for the request, right? Okay, now we have to also check that if it is a valid theater ID or not, right? Let's say somebody just passed ABCD, we can say that that is not going to be a valid theater ID. So even we can validate that request. So we can say that we'll say const object ID is equals to require. We can get mongoose package, and from mongoose we can get types dot object ID. Now what this helps us is with this, we can say if not object ID dot is valid request dot body dot theater ID, right? If it is not going to be a valid theater ID, validate correct theater ID format. If it is not going to be a valid theater ID, we are going to say return rest.status status.badRequest.json error response body. Error response body dot error. This all should be error. Is equals to invalid theater ID provided. Okay. Now we have a theater ID, we have a valid theater ID, which is like the format is correct. Now we should also check that whether the theater is present or not, right? Whether the theater actually exists or not. So if you go to theater service, if we go here, we have function get theater. So we can use this function in order to validate that. So we can say const theater service is equals to require. We'll go to services slash theater service, and we are going to say const theater is equals to await theater service dot get theater request dot body dot theater id, right? And if we don't get a theater, then we can say error response body dot error is equals to no theater found for the given id. Return rest dot status dot not found dot json error response body, right? So this is going to give us I would say all-round protection for our request, so that nobody can pass an empty theater id, or didn't even pass a theater id, or pass an invalid theater id, or pass a theater id which doesn't exist in the database, right? Check if theater exists in database, because booking is something that is going to involve payment, so we need to be super protective about our customers, right? Now we are going to do a similar thing for the movie, right? We are going to first of all validate movie presence, right? We are going to say if not request dot body dot movie id. We are going to say error response body dot error is equals to no movie id present, and we are going to return rest dot status dot bad request dot json error response body. Okay, so now we have the presence of the movie id, right? We should also check if it is a valid movie id or not. So we need to check if not object id dot is valid request dot body dot movie id. We are going to say error response body dot error invalid movie id format. Return rest dot status, it's a bad request. See, now using these status codes, it's so verbose that what kind of status code we are passing, right? It makes the code readable. Dot json error response body. Okay, now once we have checked that the movie id is valid, also we need to check that whether the movie id is present in the given theater or not, right? We don't need to check whether there is a movie running or not, because if the movie is present in the theater, then we can assume that that movie is definitely present, right? So what we can say is that if not theater dot movies dot includes request dot body dot movie id, error response body dot error no movie current movie is, or let's say given movie is not available in the requested theater. Return rest dot status, this should be not found, status dot not found dot json error response body. right? So we have added two more validations. Validate correct movie ID format and validate if movie is running in the theater or not. Okay, cool. So this is going to be something that we can do for the theater in the movie. Now we need to validate timings and all as well. Validate presence of timings. So we can say if not request dot body dot timing, we can return rest dot status dot bad request dot json error response body, and in the error response body we can say no movie timing fast. Okay, cool. So we have validated movie timing. We need to validate number of seats as well. Validate number of seats presence. We'll say if not request dot body dot number of seats error response body dot error number of seats no seat provided. Return rest dot status dot bad request dot json error response body. If all of the above validations are done, then request is correct. We can pass the request to the next middleware. So you can see we have added a bunch of validations. These validations were required. If you will go to the booking model, then we validated user theater ID, movie ID. User ID will already get validated because we need authentication. Timing we have validated, number of seats we have validated, and status we don't need to validate because default status will be otherwise processing. So the middleware is working fine. Now all we have to do is start testing our API. If the API is working fine, then we can move ahead and build the rest of the features. So let's export it, validate booking, create request. And now let's just try to test whether the API is working fine or not. Implemented the middlewares completely, controllers, services and everything. Now it's the time to test the API. So let's just check our database. We have some entries in the database. So let's just try to create a booking. So we'll say slash, let's check the route. And let's also check if the server is running. No, server is not running. Okay. Let's open the terminal and run the server. You can say npm start. Okay, server is running. Now let's just quickly check the routes. It should be slash bookings. Okay. Also we have not registered our middleware. Let's do that. Const booking middleware is equals to require dot slash. We are going to check for middlewares, right? So we are going to have a middleware in the corresponding middleware folder. We'll go to middlewares slash booking dot middlewares, and we'll register the middleware after we are authenticated. We can say booking middleware dot validate booking create request. Looks fine to me. So slash bookings, it's going to be a post request. Let's prepare the body. So we can say let's do one thing. We're going to have theater ID. Let's get a theater ID. So these are the theaters. Okay, we have few movies running in this theater. So let's get the theater ID. Copy. Then let's get the movie ID. Okay. Okay, but before we do that, let's first authenticate. I forgot to authenticate. So /auth/ sign in. Okay, let's instead of this send email as sanket@mba.com. Let's send password this send. Okay, so we have got the token. Let's copy the token, go to headers. We'll send the access token, the admin one, right? Okay, now let's avoid it and let's come back to theater ID and movie ID. Okay, then we need to send timing, right? If we check the middleware, we need to have timings. This should be timings. Okay, so timings, we can say, let's say September 16, 9 p.m. For the timing, I'm just sending a string so that we can store some value in the database. We can say number of seats. This is going to be, let's say, 2. We are going to reserve 2 seats. Okay, let's see. Now let's try to create a booking. Let's send the request. Okay, we don't need to sign in again. Let's change the API route to bookings. Send the request. Okay, it says not found. Let's check. It says /mba/api/v1/bookings. It should be a post request. Looks good. Post request /mba/api /v1/bookings. Okay, so the issue is we have prepared our route here, but in the index.js file we have not registered the route. We need to do that. So we can say const booking routes is equals to require ./routes/booking.routes, and we'll call the booking routes with the express app object invoking booking routes. Okay, now it should get it. Let's send. Okay, now at least we are able to hit. Now it says given movie is not available in the requested theater. Let's see. Okay, so I believe I know the issue. So the problem is in the middleware, here we are getting theater object. Let's just try to print this theater object, console.log theater. Okay, let's send the request and see the logs. So this is the movies array. So actually in the movies array, it is going to check it with the object ID, right? So what we can do is, if you will go to theater services, and this is something that we can do, right? We can do movies.index of movie ID. That is something that we can do. right? So instead of doing dot includes, let's do this. Index of, index of, and if this is uh, equals to -1, if this is equals to -1, then it is not available, right? Let's try again. Okay, um, let's try to log it. Let's do a console.log, send the request again. Okay, it throws -1. It's not able to search for it. Okay, let's see what can we do. We were finding the theater. Okay, let's do one thing. Instead of, okay, so we don't want to make another call there. So we are going for get theater. So in get theater, we are doing find by ID only. We are getting this in the form of a response. Let's see theater.movies first. What are we getting here? We are just getting this array and we have to search with respect to object ID. Let's do one thing. Uh, okay, let's try this API, check movie. How check movie working fine or not? So let's go to slash theaters slash, let's pass a theater ID slash movies, and let's pass a movie ID. And if we, it's a get request, I believe. If we send, it's returning true. Okay, let's do a console.log on response. We're getting response as this, and response.movies. Okay, we are just getting the object, and let's see what is the movie ID. Okay, this movie ID is also present, and let's check this. It says 0, so it is able to find it. It is indeed able to find it. So technically, let's see what's the problem here. So let's see what object are we getting. I guess I know the issue now, probably. Let's go back to the previous API slash bookings, send. It should be a post request. Okay, so we are getting the theater object although. And if we do creator.movies.index of request.body.movie id. Let's print request.body.movie id. Okay, the problem, I don't even think we need to debug it. Here we can see I have a small I. This should be a capital I. Now it should work technically. It says created a booking. There is an error. Booking validation failed. Timing is required. Okay, this should be timing only. Okay. Okay, so let's check the database now. Let's refresh. Now we have bookings and we have a booking object as well. So we are able to create everything fine. I believe we need to check the success parameter of our controller. So we need to set data as the response in create booking. Booking controller. Okay, this should be await. There should be an await here. And now let's delete this entry. Let's send it again. And now we are able to successfully create the booking as well. So we made good progress here. We are able to successfully create the booking and things are working fine as well. Let's just quickly commit this. So git add all. Added create booking API. Let push origin feature 7. Cool. So we have successfully created the create booking API. It was although straightforward, but because a lot of components are getting involved, so we just need to debug things a bit, and looks like things are working fine as well. Now we have successfully completed our create booking API. This time what we are going to do, we are going to write an API to update the booking, right? So in order to update the booking, we are going to write a patch request, right? So the type of the request, we are going to keep patch because we are not going to update the whole booking object, right? Generally this API is going to be used to update the status of the movie, the overall booking, right? Then the route of the API is going to be /mba /API /v1/booking, and then you need to pass a booking ID, the corresponding booking ID that you need to update. This is the booking ID of the booking we want to update. Okay. Then in the request body, we are going to have let's say the status parameter, right? Apart from the status parameter, we can even let's say modify number of seats, right? And we can modify let's say timings as well. We are going to just allow to modify these three only. If we are modifying anything else, we'll eventually create a completely new booking, right? So I'll tell you the flow, like how the overall flow will work and how payment will get integrated, but let's just first prepare our CRUD. Then we are going to have something like response body. In the response body, we are going to have a success parameter, which is going to define whether the API successfully completed itself or not. An error parameter, which is going to define whether we faced any error or not, because in that case it will be an object. Otherwise, if there was no error, then it will be an empty object. There will be a data parameter to check if the API successfully hit, then it will be having the corresponding data. If there was any error, then this data parameter is going to be empty. And message. This will be a custom message depending on the fact that whether API was successfully completed or not, right? So let's see. What we are going to do is we are going to go in the service. Let's close this. Let's close this as well. Let's go to booking service and we are going to say const update booking. It's going to be an asynchronous request. We are going to get the data property and a booking ID. Okay, we'll put a bunch of try catch, right? And we are going to say const response is equals to await booking dot find by ID and update, right? We can do booking dot find by ID and update, right? Now let's see. We are going to first pass the booking ID. Then we are going to pass the data with which we want to update. And at last we are going to pass a custom object which is going to have a property new true so that we return the new updated object, and the property run validators as true so that whenever we update, the validations are in place, right? And then if we get no response, that means we were not able to find the corresponding booking. We are going to say throw an error. The error that we are going to throw is no booking found for the given ID, and the error code is going to be status dot not found. Otherwise we are going to just return the response. In the error we'll just console.log the error, and we're going to throw the error as well. Cool. Now if we do any kind of a validation error, right? If we do any kind of a validation error while actually updating, then we are going to get a validation error here as well. Validation error. We'll say let prepare an error object. We are going to iterate over object dot using object dot keys over error dot errors parameter. We get an array, so we'll apply a for each on all the keys, and we'll say error of key is equals to error dot errors of key dot message, and then we can say throw error inside error parameter and code as status dot unprocessable entity, right? This is the error that we are going to throw for specific validation error. So our booking service layer is done for update, so we'll say update booking we are going to return. Now we can come to booking controller and we can write a function const update. It will be an asynchronous function. It will get the access to the HTTP request object, HTTP response object, again a bunch of try catch. Then what we are going to do, we are going to call the booking service. We are going to call the booking service. So we'll say const response is equals to await booking service dot update booking, right? The data we are going to get in request dot body, and the ID we are going to get in request dot params dot ID, right? Okay, looks fine. And then whatever is the response, we are going to say success response message dot data is equals to response, success response message dot message is equals to successfully updated the booking, and we are going to say return rest dot status dot okay dot json success response body, right? Otherwise here we are going to say error response body dot error is equals to the error object, and we are going to say return rest dot status dot internal server error dot json error response body. And if in the error object we get a custom error that is returned by the server, we are going to say error response body dot error is equals to the custom error that we have received, and we are going to say return rest dot status is going to be returned by error, so error dot code dot json error response body. So this exercise we have done multiple times, and our controller function for update is also ready. So let's just export this, right? And we are going to go to booking routes. We're going to say app.patch /mba /api /v1 /bookings /:id. For updating a booking, we are going to call booking controller dot update, right? Now we need to see that whether this API should be authenticatable or not. So when this API is going to be called, that is going to decide whether we should be able to authenticate it or not. That we are going to decide when we are going to integrate the payments, right? For the timing, I'm not going to keep it an authenticatable API. For the timing, I'm going to keep it open. But you might think then that is definitely not the case that we should do. Otherwise, anyone will be able to do anything, right? So we might need some kind of authorization here, right, or authentication here. But the only thing is that this update request might not be exposed to the open user. So how can we do that is something that we are going to see later. But for the time being, let's keep it as it is, right? So our routes are ready. Now let's just try to test this API. So now let's try to test this, right? What we are going to do is let's get a booking detail. So we'll get a booking ID, and we'll put the ID here and make the request as a patch request, and inside the request body we are going to send, let's say, status. So we'll say status, and let's send status something random. Let's see what happens if you send it. See, invalid booking status. But if we keep the status as let's see, what was the enum? The status was successful. We can send successful. So if you send it, okay, it says 500 internal server error. Let's see. Let's see if it got updated. Okay, it got updated, but it's throwing internal server error. Let's see why. So let's come to the controller. So let's go to update booking. Okay, let's see. Let's do console.log response as response, and let's run it again. So we are getting the successful response. Okay. Let's come to the controller. We can console.log error, why we are having an error. Oh, okay. This is success response body. This was the issue. Actually, I was using a wrong variable name. Now it should work fine. Let's send the request and it says 200. Okay. It's updating everything fine. And let's even remove the console.log from here. Okay, cool. Now what will happen is actually this booking status update is going to help us in two things. First of all, let's say somebody wants to cancel their booking, right, manually, then the user will be able to cancel the booking, right? In that case, we should make sure that this update status is going to be for always an authenticated user. But if it is a normal user, then we should only allow cancellation. We cannot make in process to successful or successful to in process. That is one logic that we need to put. Apart from that, if someone is an admin, then they can change any status. That is for sure. Apart from that, when we are going to make a booking, we are going to integrate like the payment model as well. And when the payment model is going to give us success, then we have to update the, I would say, booking to success as well. So there also the service logic will help us. So what we can say is that let's go to routes. We need to protect it with authentication at least. So auth middleware dot is authenticated, right? And apart from that, let's go to booking middleware, right? And let's say const can change status. We can write a middleware can change status. We'll get the request response in the next middleware. So we'll check if the user is a normal user, if the role of the user is a normal customer and they are doing anything apart from cancellation, we should not allow it. So if you go to user model, we are having user role here. So what we can say is uh, we have user service, I guess. So here we must be having get user by ID. Okay, let's use it. So let's get the user service. Okay, and what we can do is we can say const user is equals to await user service dot get user by ID, and the ID is going to be request dot user. Okay, and we'll say that if user dot user role is let's see the constants file. So here we must be having user role. So let's get this in the middleware. So let's say if the user role is user role dot customer and request dot body dot status, like we are trying to change the status, and request dot body dot status is not equal to we need to get booking status as well. If it is not equal to booking status dot cancelled. Okay, if whatever state you are at, if you are sending a request, you should always send a request for cancellation. If you're sending something else apart from cancellation, we should say return rest dot status. So for not allowed, let's see what can be the error code for not allowed. (405) method not allowed, right? or we can even say unauthorized. We can even go for unauthorized. So status dot unauthorized dot JSON error response body, and we can say error response body dot error is equals to you as a customer, or let's say you are not allowed to change the booking status. Okay. Otherwise, if you are having a customer role and you want to do cancellation, you can do it. If you are having any other role and if you want to do anything else, like if you are an admin and you want to do anything else, you can do it. As a client, like you should be able to make changes as well. So we'll just do a next. We can just put can change status, and if you go to booking routes, we can say booking middleware dot can change status, right? So this is going to help us to add one more level of security, right? So this feature is done, and we now our users will be able to cancel the booking, and as an admin we can like approve someone's booking. Now we are going to use the same booking mechanism to integrate with our payment as well, right? So I hope the overall logic on how this update of booking is working is clear to everyone. Till now we have completed our update booking API. We would like to just quickly commit that. We'll commit and write a commit message as update booking API done. And we'll push this. Okay, so this much change is completely uploaded. Now we have to start writing the get all booking API. In the get all booking API, we will try to add filters later, but initially we assume that we are going to have all the, I would say, bookings that is present in our database to be fetched for us, right? But the thing is, we just don't want all bookings like for all users. We are going to restrict this to the fact that whosoever is the current logged in user, we are going to show bookings with respect to them, and then later maybe introduce more filters to it. So first of all, let's just try to get the signature of the API. So if we talk about the route of the API, it will be slash MBA slash API slash v1 slash bookings. Okay, this will be the corresponding route. The type of the request will be a get request. The request body is going to be an empty object. We don't want to send anything in the request body. In the response body, we are going to have properties like success, that is going to tell whether the API was successfully completed or not. We'll be having an error parameter, which will be an empty object if there was no error that occurred during the execution of the API. Otherwise, it will be having the corresponding error details. Then we'll be having a data property that will be an empty object if there was some error that occurred during the execution. Otherwise, this data is going to have the response data. And we are going to have a custom message property that is going to be dependent on what happened to the API. We'll be having corresponding custom messaging. So this is going to be the API, and this will fetch all the bookings of the current logged in user, right? So we need to protect this route with authentication also. So auth is required, right? So let's see how can we do it. So things are going to be a bit straightforward initially, right? Let's close all of these files. Okay, so we can go to booking service. We can write a code const get booking get bookings. It will be an asynchronous function. It will take the let's say a data object, right? We'll put it inside try catch. We'll throw the error, and we are going to say const response is equals to await booking dot find, and in the find parameter we are going to say user id as data dot user id. Okay, so based on the corresponding user id we are going to give the corresponding bookings, right? We can do one thing here. If let's say we have an admin user, and the admin user is trying to get the booking, then we can get all bookings, right? For that we can write even a separate API, but for the timing let's keep it like this. So we can say return response. Okay, and let's write one more function, const get all bookings. This will be again binded inside try catch. We can say const response is equals to await booking dot find and return response. Okay, we are going to export both of these functions. This get all booking functions is going to be only accessed by an admin, right? So let's go to the controller and we'll go to booking controller. Here we'll write const get bookings is equals to async. It will get access to the HTTP request object, HTTP response object, and the next middleware as well. We'll again put a try catch, right? And here we can say error response body dot error is equals to error, and we can return rest dot status internal server error dot json error response body. Otherwise we are going to call the booking service dot get bookings, and in the data parameter we are going to send user id as request dot user. Then whatever we will get, we'll say success response body dot data is equals to response success response body dot message successfully fetched the bookings, and then we can say return rest dot status dot okay dot json success response body, and we are going to export this as get bookings, and we can just copy all of this, paste it here, and write one more function, get all bookings, and we don't need to pass any object here, right? We'll say get all bookings, and inside the route we'll go to booking routes. We'll say app.get /mba/api/v1/bookings. It should be a authentication middleware protected, is authenticated, and we can say booking controller dot get bookings. Okay, and we'll write one more, app.get /mba/api/v1/bookings, and we can say /all, and it should be auth middleware dot is authenticated and auth middleware dot is admin. It should be an admin API. Booking controller dot get all bookings, and our APIs looks ready. At least the basic skeleton structure looks ready, right? So now maybe we can try to test the API and see what can be done. So now let's just try to test the API that we have built up, right? Let's see if the server is running. Yes, server is running. If you go to slash, we need to first of all authenticate ourselves. So let's sign in. Let me put the email ID and password. And let's make a get request, sorry, post request. Okay, we got the token. Let's update the token, come back, and let's go to the get request of /api/v1/bookings. So you're able to get the booking, and if you will go for /booking/all, and because the current user was an admin, so okay, it says cannot process the request, some server error happened. Let's see why. Is admin, let's see the user role is admin or not. Okay, the user role is admin. It's giving internal server error, so most probably there is some issue here. Oh, it should be get all bookings. We need to call get all bookings. Okay, let's try again, and things are working fine. So the get bookings looks good to me, right? Let's wrap up this part here. From the next set of parts, we are going to then discuss that how can we modify this get bookings API and build up few more APIs for us. Now we want to write one more API to get the booking based on a particular booking ID. Like we'll be passing a booking ID, and then we want to fetch all the booking details, because this might be required in a lot of cases on the front end, that we will click on the booking and all the details of the particular booking we'll try to get, right? So what we can say is that first of all we need to look at the route of the API. So we'll say /API/v1/bookings/ID. We'll be passing an ID, and we want to get the booking related to this ID, right? So the type of the request is going to be a get request. The request body, we don't need to send anything in the request body, it should be empty. In the response body, we will be having a success parameter. This is going to determine whether the API successfully completed itself or not. We'll be having an error object, which will be an empty object if there was no error and everything went successfully. Otherwise, this will be having the corresponding error details. We'll be having a data object and a message object as well. Right. This is some standard stuff that we have been doing regularly till now. Okay. So let's try the coding implementation for this. Let's try to write the coding implementation for this. So in the coding implementation, I believe we don't need to write the service again because we have a get bookings function. We can just pass, we can maybe use this function, we can modify this function a bit so that in the services, you can see get bookings, we are passing a user ID as data.user ID. So what we can do, we can just pass the whole data object, and whatever is there in the data object, it will help us to filter that out, right? So let's do that. Instead of like passing proper filter like this, let's just directly pass the data object, right? And from the controller, we are going to write one more function, const get booking by ID. We are going to have the access to the HTTP request object, HTTP response object, and the next middleware as well. And we are going to say, let's bind it inside a bunch of try catch. Okay, cool. So we want to get the booking by ID, right? Let's also instead let's also write a service function, because there can be one corner case that the user who is trying to fetch this booking ID for this bookings, so we know that in every booking we have a user ID parameter. So this user's ID and the bookings user ID should be same, otherwise we should not be returning it, right? So let's even write a service function as well. That should make some sense. So const get bookings by ID. Get booking by ID. We're going to get an ID, and we are also going to get a user ID. Okay, cool. So we'll try to fetch the booking. We'll throw the error. Before we throw it, we'll console.log the error, and we'll say const response is equals to await booking dot find by ID. We'll first of all check if not response, then we'll say throw new error, where we'll say no booking records found for the ID, and the code will be status dot not found. Okay. Otherwise, if response dot user ID not equal to the given user ID, we'll say throw another error, not able to access the booking, and we'll say unauthorized. Otherwise, we are going to return the response. Otherwise, we will return the response, right? So let's export this function, get booking by ID. Let's go to controller. Now we are going to call that function. So const response is equals to await booking service dot get booking by ID. We are going to pass request dot params dot ID as the booking ID, and request dot user as the user ID. Okay. We'll say success response body dot data is equals to response, and it should be response, and success response body dot message successfully fetched the booking, and we can say return res dot status. Status is dot OK dot JSON success response body. Otherwise, if we catch any error and we saw that there is a custom error property that we have sent from the service layer inside the error object, then we are going to separately handle this. We'll say error response body dot error is equals to error dot error, and we'll say return res dot status error dot code dot JSON error response body. Right. This will be the case when we will be sending a custom error from the service layer. Otherwise, we'll just say error response body dot error is equals to this error, and we'll say return res dot status dot internal server error dot JSON error response body. Right, this is going to be the case, and we can just export it. Now let's go to booking routes and let's add a new route. We can say /MBA/API/v1/bookings/:id. The API should be authenticated, like it should be protected by authentication. We'll say auth middleware dot is authenticated, and we can say booking controller dot get booking by ID. Right, so this get request is also ready for us. Right, let's try to send a booking ID /booking/ID and send it. So you can see now we are getting the complete booking details. So looks fine to me. Let's commit all of the three together. We'll say git add all, git commit -m, added get APIs for booking. And git push. Right, so we have successfully implemented all the different type of get APIs that we wanted to build. Right, whenever someone wants to build a front end out of it, these get APIs are going to help us in a lot of different corner cases. Now we have prepared our booking service, booking controller, and the different booking APIs. But in the booking APIs, we are taking number of seats and the timings that is getting fetched for the booking, right? But technically in the theater model, we are just having list of movies which are running in the theater. We don't have the details about the shows, that what are the different show timings available for a movie, and what are the seats available for that particular show, what's the hall number, and these kind of information. So we need to store that. So what we are going to do, we are going to actually prepare a new show model. Right, we are going to prepare a show model. In this show model, we are going to have the reference to the theater object, that what is the theater. Right, we are going to have a reference to the movie ID. Then we are going to have timing of the show. Right, what will be the timing of the show? We'll be having the price of the show, that what is the corresponding price of the show. And apart from that, we are going to have number of seats. So we are going to have some seating plan kind of a thing, right? And these details should help us. These details should help us. If we are going, we can like do two things. We can keep just this show model separately, right? Or what we can do, we can just skip theater ID from here, and in the theater model, we can have a property shows, which will be an array of this show object. It will be an array of this show object. This can be one model, but I believe we can keep it separate, right? So that we can filter out all the shows for a movie. We can show that in a page currently, because we are able to show what all movies are running. Now we want to get all the shows available for a movie, right? That we will be able to display, and then from there directly when we will go for the booking, we will be getting the theater ID, the movie ID, the price, timing directly from the show model. So that is something that we can do. So let's prepare a show model. So let's go to models. Let's prepare a new file, show.model.js. We'll get mongoose. We'll say module.exports. We'll say const show schema is equals to new mongoose.schema. We are going to have a property theater ID, which will be of type mongoose.schema.types.object ID, and it will be a required parameter, right? Then we are going to have movie ID. It will be also of type mongoose.schema, like we are going to store the movie ID, so it will be a mongoose object ID, schema.types.object ID, and required is true. Then we are going to have show timing. It will be of type string, and this should also be required. Okay, and if we go to booking model, okay, cool. Now we are going to have, let's say, number of seats for the particular show. This type is going to be number, and we'll say required as true. Then there will be price of the corresponding show, because depending on what format you are having, so we'll say price. Type is again going to be number, required is going to be true. We can also keep a format property, that is an IMAX, it's an IMAX 3D or just 4DX, what is there. So we can keep a format property which will be of type string. I'm not keeping it required, just for the sake of the fact that we have this property with us. And then we are going to add timestamps. Okay, and we'll prepare a new model object. So we'll say const show is equals to mongoose.model show, and we'll pass the show schema. We'll say model.export show. So this show model we have exported successfully, right? You can see. Let's drop a quick commit. Okay, so now we have to just prepare a CRUD for shows, because that will be done from our client side. This should be only accessible to clients and admins. Once it is done, then it will help us a lot in the booking service, because from there only the user will be able to initiate a booking, right? Now we have prepared our show model. This is a good time to prepare the complete CRUD for show so that we can like add shows to our application as well. And this is going to help us to concrete our overall design as well. Okay, so let's start with that. So we have already done this multiple times, so it should be pretty straightforward for us now. We'll first of all go to services. We'll create a new service, show.service.js. We are going to get the show model. Slash models slash show.model. Okay, cool. Now we are going to say const create show. It's going to be an asynchronous function, and it's going to get a data property based on which it has to create a show. We'll wrap it inside a bunch of try catch. We'll throw the error from here, and we'll say const response is equals to await show.create, and we'll pass the data, right? And we are going to return the response. Okay, now we need to abide by the validations that we have provided in the model. So we have some required based validations, so we need to abide by that. So it can be a case that the data that you have provided doesn't follow the validation, so it can give you a validation error. So we'll say if error dot name is equals to validation error, right? Then we are going to create a custom error object. We are going to iterate over all the validation error using object.keys on error.errors, because in the error object there is a property errors. There we have as a I would say key value pair all the validation errors. So we'll get all the keys and fill them inside an array and apply a loop on them. And for every key, we are going to store that key in the error, and the message will be extracted from error.errors of the corresponding key dot message. At last, we are going to throw this error object, and the code can be, let's get the code constant. So we are going to require this from /utils/constants. So we'll say status dot unprocessable entity, right? And this should be fine. We'll export create show, right? And our service layer for create show is ready for us, right? We'll add a quick comment here, right? This is the object containing details of the show to be created. Okay, and it's going to return object with the new theater details, new show details. Okay, cool. So now we have an API to create the show. Service layer for creating the show. Let's add a controller. It's going to be a simple CRUD. Let's get the show service. We'll go to services / show.service module.exports, and we'll write a function const create. It's going to be an asynchronous function. It will get access to the HTTP request object, HTTP response object. again a bunch of try catch. Cool. First let's just handle the error. So if the error that we are getting is having a custom ERR property, then we are going to say let's get the response bodies. So const require util slash response body, and first we need is success response body, then error response body. So we'll say error response body dot error is equals to error dot error, and then we are going to return res dot status. Status is coming from the error object, and JSON will be error response body. Otherwise we are going to say error response body dot error is equals to the complete error object, because in this case we are having an internal server error, so we'll even return that. So let's even get the status. So we'll say return rest dot status dot ok dot JSON error response body, and here we'll say const response is equals to await. Let's call the show service dot I guess we have not exported it, did we? Create show. Show service dot create show, and the details we are going to get in request dot body. Okay. I believe there is some issue. Let's reopen the files once. Okay. I believe some VS Code issue, I guess. Let's see, we'll see. Okay, so we'll call show service dot create show, right? And then we can say success response body dot message successfully created the show. Success response body dot data is equals to response, and we can return rest dot status dot ok dot JSON success response body. So we have created our create function as well. Let's export it. Now we need to go to the routes. We'll create a new show dot routes dot js. We'll prepare const show controller is equals to require controller slash show dot controller. We'll write a function routes is equals to, it will take an express app object, and we are going to say app dot post. The API will look like slash MBA slash API slash v1 slash show slash shows, and we are going to say show controller dot create, and we are going to say module dot exports routes. Okay, cool. So our routes are ready as well. Let's register these routes in index.js. Const show routes is equals to require route slash show dot routes, and let's call them here show routes. We'll call with the app object invoking show routes. Okay, looks fine. Now before we even test the API, we need to write one more thing, that is the middleware, so that whatever request body is sending, it should be valid and all the properties should be present, right? So let's write a middleware. Okay, so we'll say module.exports, and we'll write a function const validate create show request. It will be an asynchronous function. It will get the access to the request object, response object, and the next middleware. Okay, cool. Now we'll say validate theater ID. We'll say if not request dot body dot theater ID. Let's get the status object as well. And let's get the response body also. So now what we'll say is, we'll say return first of all error response body dot error is equals to no theater provided, return rest dot status dot not found dot json error response body. Then we are going to validate movie presence. We'll say if not request dot body dot movie ID, we're going to say error response body dot error is equals to no movie provided. We're going to say return rest dot status. It should not be not found, it should be bad request. Dot json then we are going to validate timing presence. If not request dot body dot timing, we'll say error response body dot error is equals to no timing provided. Dot json error response body. So timing is also there. Let's see what all we have else. Number of seats and price also. So validate number of seats presence. We'll say if not request dot body dot number of seats, no seat info provided, return rest dot status, bad request dot json, error response so we'll pass the error response body here, and at last we will validate price presence. We'll say if not request.body.price, we'll say error response body dot error is equals to no price information provided. We'll say return res dot status dot bad request dot json error response body, right? So these are the basic set of validations that we need. After these basic set of validations, we can add some advanced validations around object ID. Let's try to do that. So now let's use the object ID. So we can get const object ID is equals to require. So we use this object ID here as well. You can see, right? mongoose.types.object ID. So we can say mongoose.types.object ID. And in order to use it, we can just say object ID is valid. So we can go here, we can say if not object ID dot is valid request dot body dot theater ID, we can say error response body dot error is equals to invalid theater ID. This is also a bad request. Error response body, right? So this is how we can use this object ID, right? And similarly, let's do it for the movies. If not object ID dot is valid request dot body dot movie ID, error response body dot error is equals to invalid movie ID. Return res dot status dot bad request dot json error response body. So looks like a certain good set of validations we have added. Let's export this function. Validate create show request, right? This looks fine for me. Now we can probably try to create a show, right? We should do one more thing. We should protect it with the authentication middleware. So we'll say auth middleware is equals to require middleware slash auth dot middlewares, and we should say auth middlewares dot is authenticated auth middlewares dot is admin or client, right? Either admin or client should be able to add a show. Okay, let's try. So the server is up and running, looks fine. So we'll go to slash shows. It should be a post request. We need a theater ID, we need a movie ID, right? And we need a timing. We need, let's say, number of seats, and looks good. Let's try to send the request. Okay, it says token expired. Let's try to authenticate again. /auth/sign in. So post request, we got a new token. And now let's try again. Let's send. Okay, sorry, my bad. This should be /shows. We have not passed price, so it should give validation error. Okay, it says something went wrong. Okay, so there is one problem that we need to handle. We need to pass the next middleware. Right, we need to call the next middleware is everything is good. I believe this is an issue. Let's check if we created something. No. Okay, we created it, but it has no data. Let's try again. Okay, so there is some error probably. Okay, one more thing is missing. We have not added the show middleware. So let's add it. Show middlewares is equals to require middleware slash show dot middleware, and we can say show middlewares dot validate create show request. Now let's try send. Okay, so the price information is not present. Let's add price. Let's say the ticket is for 500. Send. Okay, still there is a problem. We are getting 200. Okay. Let's see. So we go to show controller. We have the show service dot. Okay, so that method is creating problem. We are not able to redirect to this method, right? Let's check what is going on. Let's go to show service. We're getting the show model. We are getting the create show function. Oh, it should be module.exports. Now it should work fine, I believe. Okay, so we are able to create a show. This is good. Let's try to send an invalid theater ID. Let's say invalid theater ID. Let's send a theater which is not present. Okay, so technically this is wrong. We should not be able to create the show for a theater which is not present. So we need to add more logic here. So we need to add few things. First of all, we need to make sure that there is a theater and a movie for the theater ID and movie ID that we have passed, and there is a movie running in that theater. So let's do that. So we'll say const theater is equals to await. Let's get the theater model. Await theater dot find by ID data dot theater ID. If not theater, if we didn't get a theater, we are going to throw an error saying no theater found. And it should be status dot not found. Otherwise, we are going to check if theater dot movies dot index of data dot movie ID is let's see, should we check with -1 or what? So we have used this before as well. So we should say if this value is equals to -1, then also we are going to throw an error saying that no movie is currently not available in the requested theater, and we'll say code status dot not found. Okay, let's try now. Let's send the request. So no theater found, that works. And now let's change the movie ID. For example, movie is currently not running. Okay, looks fine. Now we need to put one more check. That is the remaining number of seats that we have and the number of seats that are requested, right, during the booking should be also checked while creating the booking. So that logic we are going to put later. Right? But for now, this show seems good, right? We are able to create shows, right? Let's see if we need anything else. Looks fine to me. Okay. So in order to create the show, what the client has to do, the client has to first add a movie in the theater, and then they can create multiple shows of that movie. So we already have an API to add a movie to the theater. Once they add the movie and details, then they can create multiple shows of that movie. So this feature is done, and we can probably commit it. So git add all. Added create show API. Cool, looks fine. Now what we can do, we can add a few more APIs that can help us to complete the CRUD for the show. Now we have completed our create show API. We need few more APIs to complete the whole CRUD for show, and now we are going to do that. So we are going to add a new API, to get all the shows of a movie running in a theater. Right, we need to get a list of all the shows of a movie running in a theater, and uh, we can even like in later stages, if we want to enhance, we can even do something like for a particular theater, for every movie get all the shows, right? For whatever movies are running in the theater, for every such movie get all the shows, right, of all the movies. This is also something that we can do. So first of all, let's just make sure that we are doing for a particular movie in a theater, we want to list all the shows. So how the API will look like? So the route of the API will look something like /MBA /API /v1 /shows slash theater slash or let's do one thing. We can even have this in the request body. So in the request body, we can send, or we don't even need to send it in the request body. What we can do, we can have query params, which will be having theater ID as something and movie ID. The type of the request is going to be get, and request body is going to be empty. In the response body, we are going to have a success parameter, which is going to determine whether the API was successful or not. We are going to have an error parameter that is going to determine if there was any error during the execution. If there was no error, then it will be an empty object. There will be a data parameter, which will be empty if there was some error during the execution of the API, otherwise it will be having the response. And a message, which will be a custom messaging based on what happened with the API, whether it went through or there was some error. Based on that, we will have custom messaging. So let's try to implement this. So we can have a function const get shows, which will be an async function, which will get a data object. We can say let filter, we'll prepare a filter object. We'll say if data dot theater ID, then we can say filter dot theater ID is equals to data dot theater ID. And if data dot movie ID, then we can say filter dot movie ID is equals to data dot movie ID. So we have our filter object ready with us. Now we can say const response, we'll put await, we will say show dot find, we'll pass the filter, and we'll return the response. This will help us to prepare the service. We'll export it, we'll come to the controller, we'll write a new function const get show in, okay, let get shows, let's just do that. Async request object response object, we'll say error response body dot error is equals to error, because we are not sending custom error messaging, so we don't need to handle it separately. Okay, what can happen is maybe you don't find any response, no shows are found. So what you can do, you can say throw an error saying no shows found, and code can be status dot not found. Now in this case we have to handle it separately. If the error object is having any error parameter, we'll say error response body dot error is equals to error dot error, and we can say return res dot status error dot code dot json error response body. And from here we are going to actually call it await show service dot get shows, and we'll pass request dot query object. We'll say success response body dot message is equals to successfully fetched the movie shows. Success response body dot data is equals to response, and return res dot status dot ok dot json. Okay, and above in the create one, we should not return the status okay, we should return the status created. This should be better. Now our control function is also ready, right? Let's go to routes. Now we can say app.get /mba /api /v1 /shows show controller dot. I guess we have not exported it. Show controller dot get shows. Right, now we don't need to authenticate this API because any user, even if they have not logged into our application, can look at all the movies that are running in a particular theater, right? That's simple and fine. So now we have two entries for this theater. Let's change timing of one. Theater ID, and then movie ID. And movie ID. If you send the request, you can see we are able to fetch the corresponding show, right? And okay, so we are able to only get one. We should technically get all the shows. Is the other one having some other movie? Okay, sorry, theater ID is different. Let's update the theater ID to be same. Let's say. Still we are getting only one response. Interesting. Let's make sure both of them are same here. Oh, okay, I guess there is one problem. It is creating. Oh, I guess I have. Okay, I was not doing a get request. Actually, it was trying to create. It should not create. Okay. Cool. Now we are getting all the shows, right? Actually, I was making a wrong request. So this get shows API is also ready for us. We can just quickly commit this. Added get shows API. So I hope the overall logic of how to implement the get shows API is clear to everyone. Till now we have completed two of the APIs for the show resource that we have made. We'll just quickly complete a few more APIs so that we have the complete CRUD ready with us. We are going to write an API to destroy the show so that if there is a show already added, we can delete that show, right? And then maybe we can write one to update the show details as well. Okay, so let's just start. So in the show service, let's just write a function to delete a show, right? Let's close this. Const delete show. It's going to be an asynchronous function. It is going to take the HTTP request object, HTTP response object. Okay, sorry, it's a service, right? So it should not take this. It should just take the ID of the show that is expected to be deleted. We'll bind it inside a bunch of try catch. We'll throw the error. And we can say const response is equals to await show dot find by id and delete, and we'll pass the id. If we don't get any response, that means we were not able to find the show. So we are going to throw an error, no show found, and we'll say the code will be status dot not found. Otherwise, we are going to return the response. This will be the delete show, right? Let's return delete show. And in the show controller, we are going to write a function const delete. It is going to take the HTTP request object, response object, and let's talk about how the signature of the API will look like. Right, we should have done that, but let's do it now. Just a moment. Okay, so for delete API, the route will look something like this. It will be slash MBA slash API slash v1 slash shows slash colon ID. This will be the show ID that we are going to pass. The type of the request is going to be a delete request. The request body is going to be empty. The response body is going to be, there will be a success parameter, which is going to denote whether the API successfully completed itself or not. There will be a error parameter, which will be an empty object if there was no error and the API completed itself successfully. Otherwise, this error parameter is going to have the details of the error. There will be a data parameter, which will be an empty object if there was some error that occurred during the execution of the API. Otherwise, this data parameter is going to have the actual response. And a message parameter, which is going to help us for custom messaging based on the situation that we have in our API. So this is going to be the overall API signature. So based on this signature, what we can say is that we can say is a const response is equals to await show service dot delete show, and the show ID we will get from request dot params dot ID. We are going to get the ID from the params. We'll say success response body dot data is equals to response success response body dot message is equals to successfully deleted the show. Then return rest dot status dot okay dot json success response body. Otherwise, if there was any error, so we'll check if the error is having a custom error parameter. We are going to say, in that case, error response body dot error is equals to error dot error, and we are going to return rest dot status. The status is going to be coming from the error code dot json Otherwise, we are just going to directly set the error. If there is an internal server error, we'll just directly set it. And we can say return res dot status dot internal server error dot json error response body. That's it. So this will be the controller, and we can export it, and we can go to the routes, and we can register a route app.delete /mba/api/ v1/shows. We should be able to delete only if we are authenticated, and we are an admin or a client. Then only we will be able to do show controller dot destroy, right? And our delete API is ready as well, right? Having the delete API ready, let's try one more thing. Let's try to write the update API. So for the update API, the route will look something like this: /mba /API /v1/shows /:id, right? The type of the request is going to be a patch request. We are going to do partial update. The request body this time is going to have the parameters like timings, price, etc. Some custom parameters will be there in the request body that is going to get updated. And similarly, the response body will be like our previous all set of response bodies. Will be having a success, error, data, and message. We just explained all of these, right? So let's even implement this API. So let's go to show service, right? And we can implement a function const update show. It is going to get a show ID and a data property. We'll bind it inside try catch. We're going to say const response is equals to await show dot find by ID and update. We'll first pass the ID, then we'll pass the data, that is a filter object with which we want to actually update, and then we'll pass some custom parameter that is new as true and run validators as true. That means whenever we are going to update, that is also going to get validated always. Okay, if we don't get any response, that means we were not able to find the corresponding show. We'll say no show found for the given ID, and the code is going to be status dot not found. Okay, otherwise we are going to just return the response. If we catch any error, so there can be a case that there was some validation error that we caught. So we'll say if error dot name is equals to validation error, what we are going to do, we are going to make a custom error object. We are going to iterate over all the error keys inside error dot errors property, and because we have an array of keys, we'll apply for each to each key. We'll store the key, and as the value we're going to store its message, error dot errors of key dot message. At last we can throw error comma code as unprocessable entity, right? We have done this multiple times. Otherwise we'll just directly throw the error. Cool. So let's export this function. We'll go to controller, we'll write a function const update. It will get access to the HTTP request object, HTTP response object. We'll say if the error is having a custom error property, error response body dot error is equals to error dot error, and we can return the status code from error. Okay, otherwise We're going to just set the error and we are going to return an internal server error. .json. Right. So we have handled the error. Now let's just handle the success case. So we'll say const response is equals to await show service dot update show. We'll pass show ID. Show ID will be inside request dot params dot id, and the data property will be inside request dot body. We'll say success response body dot data. We'll say successfully updated the show. Okay, so we have successfully completed the controller for update as well. We'll just return it, and in the routes we are going to register a new route, app.patch. It will be /mba/api/v1/shows/:id. This will be the show ID. Before you execute the update, you should be authenticated. So we'll add the authentication middleware, and before you execute the logic of update, you should be either admin or client. If both of the conditions are satisfied, that is you are authenticated as well as you are an admin or a client, we'll say show controller dot update, and that's it. So these two will be the APIs, right? We'll just quickly commit both of them. Let's see if there is any error. Okay, so there is an error. This should be auth middlewares, right? Cool. So the server is running fine. Let's quickly just sign in and try to update some shows. /auth/sign-in. Okay, we got the key. Okay, now we need to make a patch request to /shows. Let's get a show ID. Show ID, and let's update the price to be, let's say, 700. Okay, it says something went wrong. Let's see. Let's go to controller. Okay, it says request is not defined. Okay, this is request object. Cool. So we are able to update the price. Now the thing is, we should not allow updating like the theater. You should not like once a show is listed in the theater, you can only update few of the properties like its movie and I would say theater ID should not get updated. If you want to update it, you should make a completely new show. So that is something that we can do. So we can add a validation middleware. Validate show update request. It will be having access to request, response, and next middleware. We'll say if request.body.theater ID or request.body.movie ID. We'll say return request.status status.badRequest.json error response body, and inside error response body dot error will say we cannot update theater or movie for an already added show. If that's not the case, we'll just move next. Right, we'll export this, and inside the routes we'll also check this. Now let's try to update, apart from price, let's try to even update the movie ID. Let's send. Okay, it should be auth middleware dot. Let's validate show update request. Okay, it's not auth middleware, it's show middlewares. Okay, so now we are getting we cannot update the movie ID. If we do remove movie ID and send, now we get it successfully updated. So the update API is working. Let's try the delete API as well. Let's try to delete this show. Currently we have 2 shows, right? If we send it, okay, it says not found. Let's see. Okay, it should be /shows /:ID. Okay, technically we have deleted it. If we refresh, now we have only 1 show. So both our delete and update APIs are working. Let's quickly commit this. Added show, update and delete APIs. And we have pushed it. So we have done quite a bunch of things in this part as well. In the further upcoming set of parts, we are going to set up the APIs for payment, so that when the payment is done, then only we update the booking status to be successful. We'll write all the logic around the payment. And we are also going to see how we can send notification to the user as soon as the payment is done and the booking is done. But that's all for this part. I hope you guys were able to understand all the logic that is required to build this show CRUD.